Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I just wanted to talk about what I've been discerning throughout my studies, um, especially in the Torah and in the Old Testament, the five books of Moses, and how I see Jesus in there. And maybe this video won't make sense to people, or it might frustrate people because I know I'm hard to follow and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm in Exodus right now, and I just see these things, and I can't explain it unless I write a whole thing on it. But I just wanted to share what I've been able to discern, and I think it's the evidence is there. There's more than enough evidence in the Old Testament that supports that Jesus was a part of God. And that God and a human can go hand in hand. So, number one, in the creation story, we are told that God created us in His image. Right there, that is saying that God has an image of a human being. So, I think that verifies Jesus right off the bat. And when we read the entire scriptures and we read what's told about Jesus, that Christ was the first thing the Father created, and everything in creation was created through Christ, this stuff begins to make sense. And it is consistent throughout the Old Testament as well as the New, of course. If we even want to hold on to Old New Testament theories, whatever. So in the creation story, we're told God created us in His image. So the Father has an image. So right away, we see evidence of God being able to manifest as a human being. And also we see evidence of the Trinity as well, if you really meditate on this stuff. And when we read throughout, at least the way I've been reading throughout the Torah and stuff like that, we hear depictions of the angel of the Lord, and a lot of, there are a lot of great arguments that the angel of the Lord is Jesus in certain cases. I don't believe in every case, but in certain cases, it definitely is. And I think that's also an aspect of the Trinity. Unfortunately, like I have written in the past, it does get, it sparks up a lot of debates, and it becomes a problem because that type of discernment, like the angel of the Lord, and, does it mean every single angel of the Lord in the Old Testament is Jesus or is Christ? I don't believe so. I think it becomes not a matter of studying this is what the original Hebrew says and blah, blah, blah. I think it has to do with context. You have to study the context because, at least in the example that I gave in the article that I wrote on my blog, if you actually study that out and read it in its context, it is, the parallels are undeniable to that angel of the Lord being Christ. And it also opens the prophetic door of what he was telling in Exodus was also a prophecy of the kingdom to come as well, because the parallels are just there. And if you take the time to study it out, hopefully you'll be able to see that. But again, in Exodus, we also see how the Lord told Moses, around when he gave the Ten Commandments, the second 10 Commandments, that Moses was going to see God's back and not his face. So here we go again with another reference to the Father having a connection with a human image, just as Genesis says, and just as the Old Testament, the New Testament completely verifies when Jesus came into the picture, manifested in the flesh as the Messiah. So I mean, this stuff just does add up, and I'm seeing that. It's hard to explain, like blah blah blah, but I just wanted to share. It does make sense. There is very there is evidence when reading the Torah and stuff like that of God having a connection to humans and an aspect of a Trinity, because in my opinion, I think the Father is just so holy, he couldn't just descend on the earth. There has to be some type of Trinity or some type of separate unity, because he loves us so much that he would want to come down to earth and look us in the eyes and look us in the face, you know? And I believe that. And I think that was the premise of the Messiah. But to me, God being a human and the whole controversy between Jew and Gentiles, I think it is very evident in the Torah. It's very evident, and it's consistent with what is told throughout all the scriptures. If it was not true, it would not be consistent. I also want to turn people's attention to verses like Isaiah 9:6, which are clear. I even did a little bit of a word study on the word God, and I studied this out. Isaiah 9:6, clear reference. The Messiah will be God manifested as a human being. Clear reference. And when you look at things like Psalm 8, it's another clear reference of God manifesting as a human being. You should be able to discern it. So I just wanted to share this. As I'm studying the Torah, and I am seeing the Lord, what's spoken of as God, the Lord, as Christ. And yes, he could separate himself into an angel if he needs to manifest himself down on earth. Now, to verify this, I know in my experiences, I can't give certain verses, like I can't cite anything right now, unfortunately, but during the experiences I've had reading books like Isaiah and stuff, when reading the text and discerning that the Lord, the capital Lord, is Christ, is not separate from Christ, but the Lord is Christ, the prophecies in the book really come together, and it does start to make sense a lot. And I'm just seeing that verified as I'm reading the Torah. I just got through how Moses is going to see God's back and not see his face. Well, in the creation story, we're told God made us in his image. So he's connected to humans, and that human beings are very special. And stuff like that. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. Unfortunately, when it comes to the divine angel, or is the angel of the Lord Christ, I haven't studied it all out, but I don't believe every single angel in the Old Testament is Christ. So it makes the matter debatable, unfortunately. But if you study these things in context, there is clear parallels that it is indeed Christ, and we know Jesus was not something God made up 2,000 years ago. Jesus is the Rock of Ages. He was always there, the first of creation. The first thing the Father created was Christ, and everything in creation is created through Christ. I think like John 1 says that, generally speaking. So it does make sense. So I just wanted to share this. Maybe this is over people's heads. They don't, because I guess you just have to discern this stuff for yourself. But this is what I've been discerning, and I just want to share it. Okay, I hope this is a blessing. God bless. Thanks for watching.